Months ago, I found out I was genetically predisposed to having depression, and I thank God that I wasn't told this 2 years ago, or I might not have made it out. It was 2 years ago when I was in a deep depression before I found self-improvement, and today I'm going to tell you about my journey out of that. First, let's talk about depression. There's two reasons I think that I was depressed. One was I wasn't living life to my maximum potential. I wasn't living to a purpose. And two was I was instead living in excess instant gratification. Activities that feel good now in the moment, that give a quick dopamine hit, that quick pleasure. But long term just left me, just smoking my own dick, not doing anything, feeling shitty about myself and ruining my health and all that. Very quick, I'm going to tell you a bit of my story of this and what I found to get me out of this depression. So let me take you back, right? Picture this. It's summer of 2021. It's COVID lockdown, Canada's all, communist up. Can't go anywhere, you can't do anything. And even if you did, right, you have no friends, so you can't go anywhere. You wake up early, 7 a.m. maybe. Not to do anything productive, not to go to the gym that you've been hauling off for a couple months now because of your back injury. No, you wake up early because you're trying to get in the first nut of the day before everyone else wakes up. You scroll on the devil's Netflix, find a good video, find a few good ones, get that nut in, and then get on with the rest of your day. Eat breakfast, and usually I would, normally during this time, go downstairs to my home gym in my basement and start hitting a quick workout, but I fell out of the gym, man. I had a back injury and I became less and less disciplined from the one productive thing I was doing, the one thing I actually cared about. And I started falling off it, man. And instead I was just completely dopamine addicted. I was on Instagram just scrolling, looking at dudes, looking at chicks, looking at just other people around me and the lives that they were living. And focusing on that, focusing on what I didn't have, focusing on some things I was missing out on. Like some degenerate things I was missing out of, but still feeling that FOMO for it. I'm scrolling on Snapchat. I'm trying to get a girl, man, to fucking send me nudes or something. And I'm staying up way too late, man, just fucking begging girls for nudes, watching Titanic on Netflix until 2 a.m. And then I wake up and I do the whole thing again, man. It's hard to make videos about this time because it's so hard to remember because not only I have a bad memory too, but it just seems like such a blur, which is a cliche, like life's a blur, but all the days just blend together. They all just mix together. What would you call it? I get this plan of a day, right? This like average of a day of all the days that I lived during this time. Because nothing happened. I wasn't doing anything. There's nothing I achieved. There's nothing that I overcame. There was nothing that happened where I was like, whoa, this is an accomplishment. This is an achievement. This is a story to tell. This is something that I can go talk to people about. Nothing happened except for the worst of things, man. It was at this time when I was fully addicted to porn, like fully addicted. I'm talking like multiple times a day. Like I'm doing literally I'm in my room, man. I'm like kneeling behind my bed. Not this house, but it was a different house, but I'm kneeling behind my bed, man. I'm doing it literally during daylight hours. I'm doing it in the washroom. I'm doing it. It was a crazy bad addiction. And yeah, it's funny, like, oh, he's addicted, fapping. But we know how bad it is, man. Us guys on NoFap know how fucking how difficult it is to quit, how difficult it is to go through each time saying, okay, this is the last time, and then doing it and just being sat there, covered in semen and just wishing that you could just be done with this shit, man. But then, you do it again, and it was ruining my relationships with girls. Like I didn't have relationships with girls, man. Like I'm not a girlfriend, not like a side chick or whatever. Girls that I'm talking to. No talking stages. I had a couple of, I wouldn't say friends. I would say I had one good friend, my one buddy, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I had two girls that I would talk to. One was from my elementary school and the other one was one of her friends. And I would talk to her on Snapchat and we actually hung out, me, my one buddy, and then these two girls. I think once or twice, once just us and once in a group setting. And it, my porn addiction, ruined my just looking at girls, man. I started to see girls as, what they say, as an object, as something to fuck, man, as something to get something from, not as a human being. And it wasn't like I was consciously oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking use these girls. It wasn't like that, I was seeing the freaking Barbie movie or something where it's these fucking asshole dudes or something. I was an asshole kind of guy, but I wasn't I guess I wasn't self-aware with it. I wasn't the cliched, stereotypical, what you see in a 1950s movie, asshole slapping the ass coming by. I wasn't that kind of guy. I was more of a creep, to be honest, man. I was more of a wannabe fuckboy. If I was a good looking guy and I had some confidence, I would have been a fuckboy, but I didn't have that. So it was just a creepy looking guy. Because I was watching all these pickup artist videos on like how to text girls and pickup techniques, and guys going to clubs and like they're secretly filming and the girl's face is blurred and stuff. What I watched like Coach Kyle playing with fire, just degenerate guys just picking up chicks, man. And I was trying to take that advice. But to be honest, and maybe some of the advice was good for that area of life, a shitty kind of area to be in. Maybe that the advice was good, but there was just no value from me. I was pretending to be someone I was not. I was pretending to be this cool guy where I'm like, okay, I'm getting she to snap me now. I'm gonna snap her a few hours later, even though I want to open the snap right now. It became a goal to me. That was my goal. That was my goals in my life, man. I had no goals except puss, man. That was my goals. And then, like I said, ruined my relationships with girls, man. The one girl who was my friend for like years in elementary school, I started making fun of her, man. It wasn't like consciously like, oh yeah, I want to make fun of her. It was just things I was saying because I didn't see them as anything, bro. I just saw them as a goal. And I'm just saying these things. I'm calling her flat. I'm calling her these things through text, probably in person. And then the other girl, man, like there was this one night where I just stayed up till like 1 a.m. or something, just for hours, just like snapping her back and forth, asking her for nudes and shit. Like it was messed up, man. It was messed up, man. And those were the people I talked to, man. Those were the people I talked to, except for my one buddy that I had since elementary school for years. He lived in my town. I live in a small town, so there's not much to do, especially lockdown and stuff. There's not much to freaking do. But I would hang out with him. We'd go out, maybe once a week we'd go out to these abandoned houses near us, go on these trails, go hang out somewhere, go explore, go at Tim Hortons, get a coffee, get a drink, ice cap or whatever drinks we got back then. He was like the only dude I talked to, man. Like legit, bro, the only guy I had as a friend at the time, bro. And I remember it was my birthday's in August, man. I remember on my birthday this summer, I had it was a decent day. My parents took me to get some protein. We got some like cuts of meat and stuff. It was cool, man. It was cool. It was good. And I should have been more grateful for that at the time, for my parents, for my family at the time. But we got home and I'm like texting my buddy like, oh, let's go hang out. Let's go, food on me, bro. We're gonna go do something. Let's go. And I don't get a reply. I think that's kind of weird. And I check his Snap Map and I see that he's out and about in town, just hanging out with some other dudes. I'm like, fuck, bro. I guess I didn't really process it at that moment, but I already told my parents like, oh, I'm going out with my buddy, man. I didn't want my dad to know that his son was such a loser, that on his birthday he has nobody to hang out with, nobody to go anywhere with. So I lied to them and I said, oh, I'm gonna go meet the buddy. And then I left and I kind of just went for a walk throughout town. And I ended up at the corner of town where there's this pond and this forest here, and then behind it's just a farm field. It's a really nice view. And I'm walking here and the sun's starting to set. There's orange skies, and I'm walking here by myself on this gravel kind of path, looking at the water, looking at the sky, the sunset. And I just start tearing up, man. Like not full on bawling, crying, but I started tearing up a bit because I was thinking like, man, I'm alone on my birthday, man. Like, and yeah, I had my family, and it's true, man. But I didn't see that, bro. I was not in that place to see that. I wasn't in the place to be grateful for what I had at the time. What I did feel was that loneliness. Having family's nice, man, and it's good and it's important. We should appreciate them more. When you're stuck in your house all day, not going anywhere, not talking to anybody else, you start going insane. You start getting weird. It's not good for you, man. You lose your soul. And I was staring at this sunset thinking, man, what am I gonna do, bro? How did I get here, man? Just contemplating life, man. And I don't think I realized it at the time, or at least not consciously, but I think I felt that I wanted to be a normal person. I think that was a desire I had. And like, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I wish to have a normal life, but I think I looked at my one buddy who had a social life. He played soccer, he played these sports, he was going out to places, he was hanging with buddies, people were taking him for drives, he's posting on his Snapchat story, listening to music, people were driving him around, they're doing stuff. And I think I looked at that and I was like, I want that normal life. And I guess most of that normal life is having a social life. It's the friends, it's going out, it's playing music, it's smoking weed, smoking the dope or whatever. I felt like I wanted that. It was at that moment when I said, okay, I gotta do something about this. I gotta make a change here, because this is fucked up, man. That was my fuck this event. My event where I was like, fuck this, I need to change. And I've been watching some self-improvement videos here and there from Hamza for a few weeks now. And I started off with that one video. I think it's deleted now, but the one video how to manipulate people in a nice way. It was that video and there's girls in the thumbnail, so I was like, fucking let's go, man. I clicked on that and then I just went down the rabbit hole of Hamza, and I found, how to text girls, SMV, and all these things. But I also found, mental health, meditation, journaling, and I wanted to get into the social skills, how to win friends and influence people, those OG days when those were the videos that he made, and I said, okay, man, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go all into this. And that's what I do, man. I go all in. Not straight away, but I started, this is my only thing that I'm going for right now. This is the only thing that I'm thinking about right now, other than the instant gratification that I'm still doing. So I ordered the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and now school is starting, right? It's the first week of school back in person. We did the in-person shit last year, but it was half in person. Everyone's wearing masks, everyone's masked up. It's weird. No one's going to each other. It's half the school one day, half the next day. It was all messed up. But now everyone's back. There's a mask mandate because, communism. But we go back. I'm like, okay, this is it, man. I'm reading this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm gonna use these skills. I'm gonna start doing all this. And that's what I do, man. I start meditating, a couple minutes every other day. I'm getting back into exercise. I get the gym rings, and I'm going to this forest beside my house I was living at the time, and I'm going, kind of figuring things out, kind of figuring out gratitude journaling, and I'm watching the Science of Well-Being, the course by Yale, and I'm taking notes of all this. It's starting to work a bit. I'm feeling better because I'm doing something productive. And I'm still going on YouTube, I'm still going on Instagram, Snapchat, I'm doing all this, and I'm texting random girls, trying to be Mr. Romantic and stuff. But I'm starting to get productive, and I'm feeling better about myself. I'm feeling better, I'm feeling like I have something going for myself. The goals that I was setting, the social skills goals for How to Win Friends and Influence People, I wasn't going after them. I would go to school in the morning and I'd have on my notes app, okay, smile at 3 people or be interested in one conversation to the other person. And I just wouldn't do it. I maybe do one here or there, one attempt or whatever, but my heart wasn't in it. I didn't want to do it almost. I wanted the friends, I wanted the social life. It just wasn't there. I wasn't feeling anything, man. I still felt that kind of emptiness for those goals, right? They were sham goals is what they were. And I started trying to, do them, a couple months passed by and I'm still coping myself, I'm texting, I'm trying to talk to girls, I'm getting more into this one girl that I'm talking to or whatever. And then I lose her, man. Well, I guess I never had her, bro, but I lost my chances with her. I went on this date with her and it went okay, man, for my first date ever. But it went okay, but she told me the next day that she wasn't into me and she was, didn't want to hurt my feelings or whatever. We were still friends after, so it was weird. So I had a couple months where I'm kind of doing these habits a little bit. I'm going to a couple Muay Thai classes, kickboxing. And then December hits. Winter break, and I have a series of epiphanies about something that I now call quests. I just watched a Hamza video about layers of purpose, right? Peeling back your layers of purpose one at a time, and that your current layer of purpose might be girls, and that's what it was for me. I realized I was obsessing over girls. I needed to get girls. I needed to do this. I was watching other videos. I watched this video by Derek, More Plates, More Dates, on dealing with girls now and having your pickup stage, and I was watching this and I was looking at these different pieces of content, and it was a multitude of things, right? I was reading the book Psycho-Cybernetics, and I had the realization, if I dedicate myself to one thing, whatever it is, I could achieve it. I had that level of maybe call it ego, of overconfidence, whatever you want to call it, narcissism, whatever you want to call it. I had that belief that if I dedicate myself to one thing, dedicate my whole day to it. If I think about it when I awake, when I think about it before I sleep, when I'm taking a shit, when I'm talking to some dude at school, if I'm thinking about this and I'm dedicating myself, I could achieve it, right? So I said, what am I going to achieve? And I remember the layer of purpose of girls, right? Dealing with that, getting those skills out the way so I could focus on other things. And I make myself the goal to approach 100 girls. Cold approach 100 girls. Go up to 100 girls that you don't know, go up to them, walk up to them and ask for their phone number. That was my goal. That was my quest. And I spent the next couple weeks of winter break focusing on that. I was planning the whole thing. Planning on reading Psycho-Cybernetics, doing visualizations, ordering clothes for outfits, good looking outfits so I can increase my chances, increase my percentage, my success rate. Learning all these things, getting more into meditation so I can become more present in the conversations that I'm doing. So I have less anxiety, less anxious thoughts. I'm fully dedicating myself to this as much as I could at the time. And then January comes, and then the first day of school comes. I'm going, and I walk into school, right? I'm looking at girls, and I'm looking at it like how I did before, as goals, as opportunities. But I'm looking at it a different way. I don't want this one specific girl. I just want the approach, so I can get the approach out of the way, get the skills. So then I could, get rejected, be shitty at it, fuck up at it, it would then become better as I keep going. And I remember I'm walking, it's the end of the day at this point, and I haven't gone up to a single girl yet. And I'm walking out of my auto class, I'm coming up the stairs, the hallway's here where I'm walking down, and the exit is here, so I gotta turn here. And as I turn the corner, there's this blonde girl there. I don't remember who she is, man. Maybe she left the school already. She was just standing there with a friend, and I just kind of stood there for a second, and I was like, this is the time. This is right now. She's just standing. I could just go. She's right here, man. She's right in front of me. I could just go up to her before I leave. It's like I'm leaving for the rest of the day, man. I'm gonna be gone. This is my last chance, bro. Let's do this. But I keep walking. I slow down a bit, but I keep walking. And then I'm at the doors. Then I'm leaving. Then I'm saying bye to a couple people there. And then I'm getting into my cab, and I leave. And that happened for 2 weeks, man. Where every day at lunch, I'm dedicated. Like, this is my one thing. I left my old, like, this friend group of friends who weren't really my friends. I left them from hanging out with them just so I could, have that cope of having a social life. I left them at lunch and just was by myself, walking around the hallways, watching girls walk by and not doing it. Like watching the same girl walk by 4 times, but still not doing it. And that happened for 2 weeks, man. It did fuck with my head, man. It did fuck with my head. But it was a Friday where in the morning I decided, you know what? I'm not gonna eat a thing. I'm not gonna eat anything today until I get this done. Until I get one cold approach. Until I go up to one girl and ask for a phone number. I'm not eating. And I skipped breakfast, man. And that's crazy for me because I'm a skinny guy bulking up, man. I need those calories, bro. Those breakfast calories. I have a breakfast shake in the morning, high calorie shake. It was like 1,000 calories at the time. And I needed that, man. But I skipped it. And I put my protein shake in my lunch, my protein powder in my lunch. I said, I'm not eating this until I get it done. So I go to school, I get my first class out the way. And I think it was this day where we got let out of drama early. We got let out of drama class a bit early, 5 minutes early. Me and my buddy are walking out. And then I'm at the front of the school and it's cold, right? There's snow on the ground. It's, Canada's winters. You're looking at the snow, it's just a kaleidoscope of just gay water. Like, that's what snow is. We all know, we've heard Theo Von, we know snow is just gay water. But I'm waiting, and then the bell rings and everyone comes out at the front of the school. Like, this is where everyone comes out and then goes to their car or goes to the plaza to get food or whatever. Everyone's coming out, there's tons of opportunities. I'm looking, and I see this one girl, and she's standing, I think maybe on her phone. She's just standing there, and I think, okay, this is the opportunity. I can go up to her. And I was thinking about it, and I was getting anxiety, man. But I put one foot forward, one foot in front of me. Then I put the next foot, then the next, and the next. The next thing you know it, I'm in front of her. I'm looking at her, and I'm shaking, man. I had bad anxiety. I was shaking, and I think I go up to her and I say, "Hi, I'm Johnny. What's your name?" And I think maybe I shook her hand, maybe. It's so long ago, but I shake her hand, and then she says her name, and I say, can I get your phone number? And then she looks at me. She has a mask on, right? So she could have been bust. I don't know. I don't want to make, I don't want to say anything, but she had a mask on. She looked pretty, man. And then she was like, I gotta go. And then just walked away. And I'm standing there now, and maybe people are looking at me, but I didn't notice. Maybe they don't give a fuck. But I turn around, I start walking to my boys, my boys. I start walking to my boys, some guys that I knew, and they saw what happened, and I have the biggest smile on my face. And I walk up to them, I'm dapping them up, and they're like, next time, whatever, man. They cheer me up, and then we walk off to the plaza. And that was the best day of my life. And I've told this before, and guys are like, Johnny, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? You have like a rejection fetish or something? What do you say, bro? Like, you got rejected, man. I got rejected. Like, on paper, I lost. I went up to a girl, I was anxious, I stuttered my words, I fucked up, man. She walked away, it was embarrassing, but I felt so fulfilled, man. I felt so joyous. I felt so content. I felt so satisfied. I felt so like I was living on my edge. I felt like I pushed myself to the furthest I could at that time. And I realized, and this is why it was the best day, I say it's the best day of my life. I realized that to be happy, to be fulfilled, it's not the result. The result doesn't really matter, but it's pushing yourself to your maximum potential that makes you fulfilled. Whether or not you win or succeed, whether or not you fail or get embarrassed or you fuck up, when you push yourself the most to succeed, you feel fulfilled, even when you don't have the results yet, or even if you fail. And that was the lesson I learned, man. And I now call this living to your edge, right? Living to your edge of your potential. Not falling off the cliff of pushing yourself too much where you're overwhelmed and you can't bear this and you're just living in chaos. But not like living comfortably where you're not going too hard, not pushing yourself too hard. You're taking it easy on yourself, but living on your edge. The edge of order and chaos, as Jordan Peterson would put it. That was the cure for me. That was the cure to that emptiness. And those good habits that I was talking about earlier, meditation, exercise, those are good, and don't get me wrong, you should be doing those and I should be doing them. Like when I fall out of my habits, I feel bad about myself. Maybe part of that is because I'm not pushing myself to the most. Maybe part of that's because I'm not living my maximum potential by sitting on the couch, you know, eating a freaking Maltesers on the couch, or watching porn, or failing on my habits, or not doing meditation a few days in a row. Maybe because I know that I can do more than that. That emptiness you feel, that lacking of fulfillment, that lacking of feeling whole, that emptiness can be cured, I think, at least for me, by living to my edge. Because guys who exercise and meditate can still be depressed. Like I said, when I was in October, because this was in January and March, and I think I still did it in February and March, but during this time right before in October, when I was starting to get into meditation and exercise, I was feeling better and I was becoming productive, and it eased those symptoms of depression. I was still depressed at that time because there was something more fundamental that I was overlooking. And living to your edge, it's kind of like a theory talk. It's like talking about gravity. Like you can't see that. You can't see living to your edge. So how do you know you're doing it? A wise man once said, if you're hungry, your body's telling you you need food. And when you're depressed, your body's telling you you need to change your life. So to know that if you're living to your edge, or that you're living to your maximum potential, that feeling of emptiness, that feeling of depression, that's a good sign. That's like a good thermometer to use, which is kind of a bullshit thing to say, like, oh, just feel it out. It's really something that you have to know for yourself, that you can't bullshit yourself over. You can't bullshit yourself of like, yeah, I'm pushing myself to the most, when you're not. Because you'll get those demons at night, man. You'll get those demons when you're laying in your bed looking at your ceiling and you're just thinking like, you're moaning and groaning, fuck, man. But nah, when you're having those demons attack you, you can't hide that, man. You from yourself, at least. Let's talk about anxiety. So what is anxiety? I would say anxiety, you know, the bro science version of it, as a bro scientist, anxiety is your limbic brain, your primal system going haywire, your fight or flight or freeze system being used unnecessarily. And I'll tell you briefly, like, my story of anxiety. The first time I got anxiety was during this summer of 2021, when I was, you know, in my deep depression, my lowest, where at first it was a nightmare. I had a nightmare about drug dealing. It was a weird thing, man. I don't know, maybe someone who's into Sigmund Freud or something can let me know what that means. I got kidnapped to drug deal, like Breaking Bad style, and then I woke up with like that physical pain in my chest. And that's what I consider anxiety. Like, I don't consider anxiety that just worrying or being stressed. For me, it was that physical pain, that pain in the chest, that pain in the stomach, and just feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you can't breathe and all that. But then the first time I felt it when I was awake it was a couple weeks before school. I was in my kitchen, you know, smoking dope or whatever, and I was sitting there and I was thinking about school coming up and seeing everybody and being in person again, and I just got like a shot to the chest, man, like just a bolt of that pain to the chest. And it shocked me because I didn't know what it was, man. Like, I've never felt anxiety. I didn't know what it was, man. So it took me a couple minutes to process it, what just happened, man. But I kind of went on with my life. And then when school started up, right, I would get a cab to school and back every day. And in the mornings on the way to school, once we started getting closer, I started getting this pain in my chest and my stomach. Not like that bolt of just like a rush, but just like a continuous pain. And like I said, I didn't know what anxiety was, man. I never felt it before. So at first I thought it was something in my morning smoothie, something in my morning protein shake. So I took out oats out of the shake and replaced it with cereal for the calories, but it didn't change anything. And over time I realized, like, this is anxiety, whatever that is. And it was bad, man. It was bad. Like, I remember one time, that girl that I was interested in, she was like, I talk shit, man, in some of my videos because she's kind of a bitch, man. But like, or maybe that's just my perception, man, me just being a dick about it. But I respect her for doing this because she really didn't have to. It was one day, it was end of school, and I was looking for my cab, and I was having a different cab today, right? A different cab number, so I didn't know who I was going to. And I was looking around, and she told me, oh, just go up to that one and just ask her what person he's taking, to see if I'm going with him. And like, I kind of stood there like for a second, like getting anxiety, right, of just going up to them. Cause it was that bad, man. Just going up to a cab driver and asking. I just didn't want to do that, man. And she saw that. I think she looked at me and she saw that. And she's like, oh, I'll go with you. Like, after a second of me just panicking. But she said, oh, I'll go with you. And then we went together and stuff. And this is a side note, bro, but I really respected that, man, honestly. That was nice of her, bro. I'm grateful for that. But yeah, man, it was like this for months and months. And like I said, at this time, I started getting into meditation. And it did help a bit. It did help. It was when I started doing the quest for girls, man, that you can see in my results for the NHS depression and anxiety quiz that I took. In 1.5 months, not only did my depression go down so significantly for the, doing the quest and all that, but my anxiety went down to like a crazy low number. Since then, it's gone down even more. And I think the reason for that, I think there's two things for that. I think one was clearing my mind of bullshit, and I think the second was voluntary exposure to my fear. So one is clearing your mind of bullshit. When you're in your head, you're gonna be anxious, right? Anxiety lives in thoughts and thinking, not in action. So the antidote of that is living in the moment, being in a flow state where there's no thoughts. And I remember a few videos ago, I talked about this recent cold approach that I did with this girl at this student council event, how I was thinking about what I was gonna say. Like I was sitting at my table with my group, and I was thinking about what I was gonna say. I'm thinking about when I'm gonna do it and all these details of it. I'm thinking about it, and I got crazy anxiety for like the first time in like a long time, because I was really overthinking about it for some reason. And I could barely eat my baby carrots I was eating or whatever for the lunch. But then later, when I finally did the code approach, I saw her and I was getting some anxiety. But then as I started walking up to her, as I started walking, physically taking action, there was no thoughts, man. Like I was in the moment. And yeah, it was maybe a little bit awkward at one point or another in the conversation, but it went well, and I got her number, man. She was laughing, it was cool, it was fun. And I was so hyped about that, man. But I got her phone number from that. I only had anxiety when I stopped to think about it. That was the thing. So how do you do that? How do you just be in the moment? How do you be completely out of your thoughts? So there's a few things we can do for this. It's cutting out the bullshit, man. It's really cutting out the bullshit. To cut out the bullshit of your brain, you gotta cut out the bullshit of your life, right? So you wanna increase the skill of presence, right? And that's the skill of being in the moment, man. You want to practice it. And there's the obvious meditation, man. You've heard it a million times from Hamza, from all like those self-improvement videos. Meditation, it's huge, because what you're doing is you're focusing on just your breath. And yeah, you get thoughts, you're doing it, you don't know if you're doing it right. You're getting thoughts of some chick you're talking to, and what you're gonna say to how you're gonna ask her out and all this. And thinking about how am I gonna film this YouTube video, how am I gonna get to this place, am I gonna have to drive here on the bike, what am I gonna do? But once you get those thoughts and once you realize you're having them, okay, let me just go back to my breath. That skill of going back to your breath, going back to presence, you're building that up over time. And also to a lesser degree, going out into nature. No AirPods, no phone, no calling people, no texting people, no listening to Joe Rogan or this past weekend. But going into a forest, going on a hike, enjoying the nature, enjoying the surrounding. Like when was the last time you did that? Probably like since we were kids, man, we want to do that. And I do that a lot, man. Going on hikes, I love hikes, bro. But appreciating that nature and being away from the modern technology, the modern devils that we have, it's increasing that skill of presence, and it's increasing that skill of just enjoying what's around you. Because you really can in nature. And also it's reducing the overwhelming stimulation, especially social media. When you scroll on Instagram for hours a day, even less than that, man, when you're just going over and you're seeing what people are posting, you're seeing the news, you're seeing this feminist propaganda. It was actually a decent movie. It was an entertaining movie. I don't agree with the message, bro, but it was actually an entertaining movie. Oppenheimer's better. But you're scrolling, you're looking at all this, you're looking at Bud Light, you're looking at all these things, you're looking at these crazy you're looking at Biden memes, you're looking at people who are going to parties and hitting up chicks and then, freaking banging chicks, man, and you're feeling bad about yourself. All these random thoughts, that's living in your head. All these random things that you're looking at, that's living in your head. Like I haven't had social media for, I think, over half a year now since I deleted Instagram. I don't know, bro. But for months, man, I've deleted Instagram. Haven't been on Snapchat in months, man. I don't have that anymore. Like I don't get that anymore where like people have to tell me things. Like people will tell me, oh, have you heard that this person died? And I'm like, I haven't heard it. And I still have YouTube, and I look at YouTube for Hamza and for other things. And sometimes, I'm not as disciplined, and I start looking at YouTube Shorts, which is something I have to work on. But I don't get this modern BS that everyone else gets. And it's I'm just on it like a few minutes. It's just when I don't have some time to kill. But you don't realize that the things you see, they rattle in there, man. They rattle in your mind, bro. Like just cum in your testicle. Like they just rattle in. That might be a bad analogy, but they just rattle up in there, man. It's too much information at once. Humans are not meant to know about the news worldwide. We're not meant to know about things that are happening on the other side of the freaking planet, man. We're not meant to be knowing about opinions of some BS movie, of some chick on the other side of freaking Wisconsin. We're meant to know about our tribe, our town that we're living in, and the people in it, and our friends and our family. And you realize how little friends you have once you delete Instagram and Snapchat. I texted people like, oh, I'm deleting this now, so you give me your number and so we can be in contact still. And some people did, right? Like some like my good friends, I text them, or I text them on WhatsApp or whatever. But some people that I thought were like friends of mine, we've never texted, not even a single time, bro. And maybe that's on me, maybe that's just on me, who knows, man. But you realize how these people that you're snapping, they don't mean anything to you, man. And you don't realize how much space in your head social media is taking until you actually stop, you start detoxing from it and eventually delete it. So this might be something you have to take my word on, or not just my word, but my word, Hamza's word, all the studies of how social media is bad, all their words, all these professionals, all these actual real scientists. So to reduce the bullshit, increasing presence through meditation and nature, and reducing overwhelming stimulation, especially social media. And the second thing that really helped was voluntary exposure to my fears. All of my fear was socially based. All of my anxiety was socially based. It was going up to people, what to say and how I'm gonna deal with conversations, embarrassment, getting humiliated in front of people, getting rejected. I think what really caused that big decrease in anxiety in those initial 1.5 months was cold approaching itself, was going into girls, going into those conversations, going into those uncomfortable areas and getting rejected and getting kind of embarrassed and being nervous for people to see me, but going through that anyway and becoming comfortable in that discomfort. I think that's what caused the newbie gains for my anxiety. Because what I realized was the fear doesn't go away. When I go up to a girl, I'm still nervous. To this day, man, I'm still nervous. I've done it a bunch of times. I've felt everything, man. I felt all the rejections. I felt the wins. I felt the feeling of getting a girl's number. I felt the feeling of getting rejected. I felt the feeling of those weird, awkward moments where you go up to a group of girls and nobody says anything. I felt those moments, man, but I still get nervous. Why? I don't think the fear goes away. I think we just become braver. I think, like in the gym, the weight doesn't become lighter, you just become stronger. And this is something in psychology, this is something Jordan Peterson talks about, voluntarily exposing yourself to your fear. But I think he's talked about it in his book, 12 Rules for Life, or maybe it was a lecture he did, I forget. But once I knew, okay, I can go up to a girl and I can figure it out. I can be in a dire situation and get myself out of it and be okay in the end. And I can go up to a group of people and I can start a conversation, and I know when I say something kind of embarrassing and I realize it, I can make a joke to bounce back from it, to come back, and I can go up to these people. I can do these things now. And yeah, I still get nervous, but I know now I'm gonna be okay in the end because I have been from all these times. It's that social XP that reduced that crazy anxiety for these social situations for me. And for you, it might be different. For you, it might be getting into a fight, man. You don't want to be in a group of big dudes getting into a fight. Maybe that has to be going to martial arts for you, to expose yourself to your fear. Get beat up in a boxing class. Get a black eye in a boxing class. Or join a competition, join a boxing competition or MMA, whatever it is. And then after my cold approaching quest, joining sports, joining football, where I'm in a locker room full of dudes, we're making jokes, man, we're fucking around, but then on the field and games and practices, we're hyping each other up, we're going nuts, man, we're getting that brotherhood, that experience as well. And also just going out in general, man. Like, I was stuck in my house, bro. I kept myself, I was that hermit, man, just keeping myself in the house, bro, just smelling my own internals, bro, smelling my own entrails all day. Actually leaving the house, going places, man, going to the park more, and like where other people are, not just going on walks by myself, but going to where people are, doing boxing, doing football, going to the mall more, and just going places with people. With that experience, with that social XP, I know I'm gonna be okay in the end. And I don't think anxiety is that simple, but at least for me, man, that's what I think I did. I went up to people, I faced my fears, and I got better in those areas. I improved my skill of presence. I increased my meditation hours. I went out into the forest, man. I went out, I made it a goal for myself to get off of Instagram, to get off of Snapchat. And then here I am, man, fully off social media, going on hikes, doing meditation every morning, going to places with my buddies, going to the beach, man, spending the past 3 days just hanging out, man, fucking shrooming it up, man. And yeah, I still get nervous. Like I said, I still get nervous when I go up to a girl, when I'm going to a little excursion, when I'm going somewhere, and I'm nervous maybe on the way there, man. But once I get there, I'm fine, man. I'm fine. And on days when I could use it, I just up my meditation. Okay, I'm gonna do a few more minutes of meditation today. Okay, I'm gonna go to the forest and do my meditation there just to get that extra boost, man. Okay, I'm gonna go do this to clear I'm gonna go for a run to clear my mind. But also doing that preventative medicine, doing that meditation any day, even when I don't feel like it. So that was a bunch of theory on depression and anxiety, but I'm gonna give you some practical tools to use to do these things. So one is dopamine detoxing, decreasing instant gratification and increasing delayed gratification. And this is honestly, it's honestly a meme in the self-improvement space now. Everyone's just done a video on dopamine detoxing. I'm doing a video on dopamine detoxing. Coming soon, bro. But it's the truth, man, because when you're sitting inside all day, jacking off to snaps that girls are sending you, juicing it up on Diet Coke, man, licking Diet Coke and huffing gas, looking at tits, looking at girls on Instagram that you don't have, going on Snapchat, looking at stories of parties people are going to that you're not invited to, watching Netflix for hours on end, you know, waking up feeling fucking tired because you spent all night jacking off, feeling tired in the morning but awake at night. How could you not feel depressed doing all that? And that's a side note thing. This is maybe something you can journal. How, in the life that I'm living currently, how could I not be depressed? How could I not be depressed doing what I'm doing currently? And what can I do to not have that? What could I change of what my day-to-day schedule is? What can I change to not be depressed anymore? That's something you could journal. That's off topic, right? Dopamine detoxing, what everyone talks about is the habits, meditation, exercise, journaling, reading. And those are good, man. You should be doing those. But something that's overlooked is adventure, fun, play. That childish fun. It's crazy how those little things can go so far. Like Jordan Peterson in 12 Rules for Life has a chapter, the last chapter of the book, pet a cat when you encounter one on the streets. Something like that. Those little moments go so far. The other day I'm working out in my basement, I'm doing an upper session, and I'm listening to freaking, like during my rest, I'm listening to Taylor Swift, I'm listening to Katy Perry, California Girls, I'm dancing it up, I'm doing my white boy dance, you know, and you know, I'm having fun, my mom walks in, catches me off guard, I'm freaking out. Like those moments of childish play, they're worth so much, man, and they're so simple. And it sounds cringe, like, oh, what, you're dancing, you're listening to white girl songs, man. When you can appreciate those things, that's a good sign that you're living a good life, man. When you can appreciate those things, when your little sister goes on the whiteboard or the paper and draws a drawing of you and it looks fucking ugly as shit, you look like a damn potato, but laughing at it and taking a photo of it and hugging her. Those moments, man. Those moments. Being with your buddies and listening to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, man. Just those little things, they go so far. Climbing a tree, like that's Hamza's go-to, man. Climbing a tree or jumping over a puddle. And mine, what I do is whenever I go for a hike, bro, I find the favorite leaf. I find my favorite leaf. And there's this one tree where like the bark is kind of coming off and you can actually slip in a leaf and it stays there. I started doing it for a couple weeks back and I'm starting to do it again because somebody fucked it up. Someone took my leaves off. I mean, every time I go, I leave my favorite leaf there for the next guy to come, for the next guy on self-improvement to come there and see them. Stupid things like that, where they're not like productive on paper. They're not productive like meditation or reading or working on a business or exercise. But the result is worth so much, man. The result for your mental health is so much. And yeah, call it cringe, call it dumb, man. But I think that's a sign of depression. I think not being able to enjoy those little moments, I think that's a sign of depression. And forcing yourself through them. Forcing yourself to be like, to just laugh, just smile, man, at those little things that happen. I think that can go a long way. And the practical advice for dopamine detoxing is a habit tracker. This is what I did when I first got into the quest for approaching girls. And this is what I'm starting to do more recently, like the last month or something, to get back into productivity. And I'm fine. It's so helpful, man. It's so helpful. I'll put a picture on screen so you can see what I'm talking about. It's just having your habits, having the days, and then checking off or putting an X for whether you complete them or not. And when you're in the depths of depression, when you're just trying to, when you're that emo Nemo, man, just swimming in your own tears, the habit tracker, you're gonna want the habit tracker to be full of checks. So you can look at it and feel good about yourself, so you can, you know, stroke your ego and just bust on yourself. If you were to have a habit tracker full of checks, not a single X on there for the month, you wouldn't need the habit tracker. The point of the habit tracker is that you're gonna have X's, but now you're seeing them. Now you're keeping yourself accountable because you're like, okay, I missed meditation for a few days in a row. Let me do that today. Hey, instead of doing that 5 minutes that I set myself, let me do 1 minute just so I can get that check. And that's another thing. Checking it off. When you're in those depths of depression, checking it off when you're doing the bare minimum, the littlest thing you can do. Doing one push-up and checking off exercise. Doing, as Hamza has famously said, doing 1 second of meditation and checking off meditation. And you won't like it because you're gonna feel like a bitch, man. You're gonna feel like a bitch when you go down just to do 1 push-up. Nobody does 1 push-up. Except for me, man. Back when I had to get my shit together, I had to do that 1 push-up. I needed that 1 push-up. And one thing you'll find is when you go down to do one, you'll do one, but then you wanna do more. But like I said, man, you wanna start small with it. You wanna use progressive overload. You check off when you hit that 1 push-up. You check off when you hit that 1 second of meditation. Because that's where you're gonna have to start, man. You're not gonna like it, bro. Nobody goes around flexing their habit tracker. Bro, 1 second of meditation today. Like, no one's doing that. No one's even dapping out for meditation in general, bro. Let alone 1 second of meditation. You can't flex with this, but that's not the point. The point of it is not to stroke your own dick. The point of it's not to bust on yourself. The point of it's not to go to chicks and show them your habit tracker as your dating profile on Tinder. The point of it is to get your shit together. The point of it is to get your life together. You're gonna have to start small because it's all you can do right now. And if you have to put brushing your teeth on your habit tracker, that's fine. That's absolutely fine, man. The guy who puts brushing teeth on his habit tracker and makes it his goal to start brushing his teeth more, to start brushing his teeth every day. The guy who is brushing his teeth, trying to brush his teeth 2 to 3 times a week, is making more progress than the guy who's brushing his teeth every day but refuses to go any further than that. If you're gonna be the guy who's like, just fucking brushing his teeth all day, like fucking 24 hours a day, not doing anything else, you can be that guy. But just know that guy who's brushing his teeth now 4 times a week, now 5, and now he's starting to get into exercise, he's gonna fucking beat you. He's gonna fucking destroy you. And you're not gonna see it coming because you're looking at him, fucking laughing at him, thinking he's some bitch. But he's gonna come up behind you, fucking grip you by the fucking collar, by your neck. And he's gonna fucking start biting on that bitch, man. Not in a sexual way, not in like a fucking gay way. But he's gonna bite you, fucking kill you, man. He's gonna destroy you. Brush your teeth, man. So make your habit tracker and start small and count small. Next is gratitude. Gratitude is the quality of being thankful. And I talk about it a lot, man, in my videos. Let me illustrate this for you. Gratitude is the difference between the guy who gets his heart broken and then stays in his bed, in his semen covered sheets, just jacking off. And the difference between that guy and the guy who gets his heart broken and then puts his head down and becomes a beast. That's the difference, because gratitude is taking advantage. Look, gratitude is looking at the situation. This girl broke up with me, this girl rejected me. How can I use this to my advantage? How can I use this for my benefit? I'm gonna use it as motivation. I'm gonna use it as energy. Or what, she broke up with me or she rejected me. I'm not that good looking. I'm not that strong. I'm not that jacked. Let me become jacked. Let me get my shit together, man. Let me start going to the gym. That's gratitude. It's seeing the positive to every situation. It's saying, how can I be grateful for this situation? How can I take advantage of it? And the practical advice for gratitude is doing gratitude journaling. Writing 5 things a day that you're grateful for. Because that's practice. That's doing the reps for gratitude. That's doing reps towards gratitude. So now you're doing it every morning, gratitude journaling. But now throughout your day, because you've done it so much, you've just trained your mind. It's training for your mind to be grateful in situations. Now when something happens, now when you get that rejection, yeah, you feel shitty, you feel fucked up, feel whatever. But now you're like, okay, how can I take advantage of this? Another piece of practical advice is starting off prayers with gratitude. When you're going to pray to the Lord, starting off, okay, I'm grateful for this, I'm thankful for this happening, I'm grateful that you're doing this for me, that this happened, and then asking for whatever you're gonna ask. This video is getting long, bro. Gotta finish this up. Next, this is something that I've done to deal with the past and deal with regret. This is what I've done recently, and this could help you a lot if you're stuck in those depths of that time where all you can feel is regret. And it's something that Jordan Peterson talked about on a Joe Rogan podcast that I now call 6 epoch journaling. So what it is, the point of it is to extract wisdom from the past. And what it is splitting up your life in 6 epochs, 6 time periods. So birth to grade 1, grade 1 to grade 8 in high school, whatever it is. And writing about the emotional and significant events in each one, how they affected you, how you dealt with them, how you did, and then what you would have done if you could go back. And then something that I've done that really helped was taking that solution of what you would have done if you could go back and applying it to something you're going through now, something that you can now use. And what it helped me with right now is the last one I did. It helped me with dealing with girls, and not just girls, and just dealing with arguments. I wrote about how I said something to this girl and then how I dealt with the situation, and I became so just filled with regret for doing it that I freaked out, and I started hyper apologizing and then freaking out about the situation and crying at night and all this. And I took that and I found the solution, at least what I would have done if I could go back, which is, okay, acknowledge that I made a mistake or I said something I shouldn't have, and then go out into the forest, no phone, no AirPods, no stimulation, and just think about it. Let myself clear my mind and figure out what I want to do about it. And then, cut off all the comforts, all the comfort so I can just clear my mind, and then spend the next day just working, just doing productive work, doing my habits, doing what I gotta do. And then the day after, if I'm feeling right, if my mind is cleared and I know my stance, know what I'm gonna do, then I can go back and talk to her and deal with the situation. And I apply that to what I was going through at the time with this girl that I had this argument in. That's what I did, man. I went to the forest, cleared my mind a bit, came back and just, for the next day, I just worked on what I had to do. I worked on my scripts, filming, my exercise habits I gotta do. Then the day after, I replied and we figured it out, man. Because I knew my stance. I didn't come from a place where I was just freaking out and needy and I just didn't want to say something again, or I was pissed and frustrated. I came from a place where I was thinking, where I was logical, rational. And this type of journaling helped me to realize that, what I should do in those situations. So it's just taking out a piece of paper, writing down a birth to this time period, whatever time period, and then just writing about it, what happened, and then, you know, the problems you face and all that, and then the solution to them, what you would have done, and then what you can do now for a similar problem that you're going through. And the last maybe 2 things I want to talk about is social connection. Social connection is genuinely connecting with another person, and this is huge, man. This is huge. Like I said before in my story, my loneliness that I felt, that's what got me onto self-improvement, man. So finding friends, finding a group of real friends to be with, that was huge for me. And I found that a few months ago, maybe in February of this year is when I found that. February of this year of 2023. And I got onto self-improvement in August of 2021. So look at it like that, man. Looking back, the tough thing was to become friends with people who've gotten their shit together, who have their shit together. You need to have your shit together yourself. And I didn't have that for a long time. And I guess in some ways I still don't, man, because we're all improving, we're all self-improving, man. And I thought, you know, back when I was reading How to Win Friends and Influence People and setting those sham goals for myself that I wasn't going after, the books were good, man. The charisma myth, they were good stuff. And I was just that weird guy, man. I needed to figure myself out. I needed to become somewhat of a normal person. And yeah, meditating and becoming focused on all of these goals, that's not really normal in today's age. But I kind of have to become a normal person in the sense where I could be in a conversation and I don't, you know, I'm not forced like, oh, if you're not meditating, then you're a bitch. Like, and not saying weird things and just becoming normal again in that realm. And the books don't give you that. The books give you guidelines that you should follow, and it's good stuff, man. But I needed that experience. And I had to become less resentful and less frustrated and less emotional to be the friend that I want. I wanted friends who were like positive people who, you know, maybe having their own things that they're going for, nice people, non-toxic people. But I was that toxic guy, so I couldn't get that, man. I had to work on that first. And that took a long time, man. Part of that was also leaving my old group of friends that I would just hang out with to cope. Leaving them and then being on my own for a bit. Here's the way I went about it. First, I hit the books, and then, you know, I got some information. It didn't really help me at the time that much. But then I got experience. I was going up to girls, joining sports, going out more, talking to people more. Then over time, getting my own shit together, getting my own goals in order, and becoming less resentful, becoming more happy in my life, more fulfilled in my life, more content in my life, and having joy and love and wanting to spread that. Then I could leave my old friend group and then be on my own for a bit. And then once I could find a new group of friends, then I was that guy where I'm spreading the love, man. I'm cool. I'm chill now. I'm good. And that takes time, man. And that's the tough thing about it. This is like a later stage of mental health. This was a later stage that I just hit, maybe like I said a few months ago. But the thing that you can start with today is becoming closer with your family, and that's huge. I'm kind of making it a goal now to repair relationships with my family, with my father, mother, sisters. When was the last time you saw your mother and just talked to her? Just talked about something, man. When was the last time, bro? Because I remember in my fucking dumb, just depressive days, man, I wouldn't talk to my parents about anything. Maybe I'd go to my mom and complain about something or ask for something. And maybe it was a few minutes a day because I was stuck in the house and stuff. But it wasn't like I was like, oh yeah, just having a conversation with her and stuff. It was kind of like I was just there just cause, you know what I mean? But now I'm doing that I do that a lot now, man. Just going downstairs and just, like, when I'm done with my work, whatever I gotta do, like, just talking, hanging out with my siblings and just talking about stuff and just seeing what's going on. Talking about plans, talking about what's going on, and then things that she's buying and what she's thinking about and things that she's planning on doing, and helping her with the siblings and all that. And I think that would be a good goal for you to set as well, man. Bettering your relationship with your family. And the practical advice is something you could do right now. Go talk to your mom, man. And yeah, man, some people can't do that, man. Some people have difficult situations where they can't do that. But whoever you got, man, go talk to them about whatever, about anything, man. Just start a conversation and be present with it. And the last thing I want to talk about is a higher power. Religion, man. We don't have that anymore in our society. We don't have that in our world anymore. And the death of religion, the loss of religion, it's correlated with the loss of purpose for us guys. We don't have that anymore. We're not given our purpose in that way anymore. We have to go to the Lord ourselves to find it. And that's what I did. And that's what I think you should do as well. And whether it's Christianity, which is what I'm part of, or whether it's Islam, whatever, man, read the book. That's the only advice I can give for that, man. Read the book. Preferably the Bible, because, I'm trying to make disciples here, man. But just read the Bible. It's never too late for redemption. Don't be afraid to give up the good for the great. Peace out, man.